I think it's actually underappreciated how intense the Premier League is.
Why is it so intense?
Just the speed of the game now. I've seen stats from Premier League players and it's madness.
How important do you think athletic ability, physicality is to make it to the top?
I think massive. I think that's how the game's going now. It's still will be technical, but if you're an athlete and you can get up, you can go box to box, I think it's going to pull you apart from the rest. But the athleticism is just ridiculous.
I want to be athletic. What does that mean?
So I break it down into three things, which is power, strength and speed.
How important is nutrition?
Massive.
What's alcohol doing to me?
After a game, slows down your recovery massively because alcohol dehydrates you. That's why you might go to bed and you're sort of like sweating in the night because your body's trying to get it out of you as well. That's his way of like trying to get alcohol out.
How can you best prepare yourself to never get injured?
If you're not training in the gym to be able to move how you should be moving on the pitch, you're going to leave bits behind in terms of performance.
Most common football injury that you see?
Ankle ligament.
One piece of advice every player should follow to avoid injury.
Train how you play specifically to your position.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today we've got Tom Curtis-Bennett, who is a sports therapist. He's going to be joining us. I am really excited about today's episode because I think this is the first sports therapist that we have spoken to, someone that's knowledgeable in or subject matter expert in injuries, recovering from injuries as a footballer, how you prepare and how you really recover from injuries. It's something that I get asked about a lot by players. And we talk a lot about on the podcast from players and coaches' perspective about, you know, sleeping, eating the right foods, stretching, yoga, Pilates, things like this. But that's all from a players and coaches' perspective. So today with Tom, I want to learn more specifically and from a subject matter expert, like what should players be doing to put themselves in peak physical condition to get ready for games, to recover from games and to last a season. I think that on one of the podcasts that we did with Anthony, he was talking about he played Division 1 college soccer because he was always healthy. He was always available. And if a coach or a manager can trust you to play 90 minutes week in, week out, you have a real big advantage over someone that's, you know, got a tweaked hamstring or their foot hurts or their ankle. So today, Tom, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
For someone listening to this that thinks, okay, physio, a therapist, a PT, they're all kind of the same thing. What do you do and how are you different from other people?
Yeah, they all fit under kind of like the same umbrella, same criteria, but like a PT would be focused on, say, obviously regarding football, like a sports scientist or anything, they're trying to focus on your performance solely. I feel like as a sports therapist or a physio, you're trying to make sure obviously they can perform in terms of more like movement and availability. But you've got to look on the outside and go, hopefully if they're going to be fit and available, you want to try then help with their performance. As long as you can manage you probably start working with someone if they're only available for 70% of the games. They're not really help to a team, are they? They're available for 100% of the games, 90%. They're more of a help, then you try and help them performance. So whether they're a player would reach out to a physio first and then look to work with a PT or sports scientist on the outside of that as well. But yeah, I feel like I've adapted to do both. It's hard because obviously, like in my uni course, we did touch on like return to play and sports science stuff, and I think a lot of it is a little bit common sense of going, right, okay, what's the movements in football? Can we be more powerful in the whole of the body rather than normally you just work on like one specific area from a physio's point of view? Go, right, I've had a calf strain, so need to make that calf back. But then you've got to look up the chain and go, well, if you haven't been playing for 6 weeks, what's the rest of the body shut down? So you've got to wake everything back up.
So if I'm a footballer and I come to you and I say, Tom, I pulled my hamstring, what can you do for me?
First of all, it would be finding out exactly where that tear is. So hamstring's split up into three different muscles. So going through that, you'd be like, right, okay, we found the located area where it's torn. We know now what grade it is. So grades is the severity of the tear. Does it need operating? Is it just going to be treatment? That's a massive thing for footballers. And lower down the levels where you come into like semi-professional, where you get all the things that I've been at so many clubs where it's like they'll pay for scans, regardless. Or then it'd be like, you ask them, be like, we need a scan. And they'd be like, no.
Why?
Money. Player should sort it. The player's like, I don't want to pay. I'm being paid. This is employed. Why should I pay for it? And then I'm stuck in the middle, like, whose side do I go on? The club's got no money. Fair enough. The player doesn't want to pay for it. But you're also being paid to play. Like, if you're not available, eventually you will not be getting paid.
So I've had my scan. I know what my injury is. Are you the person that treats it, or are you the person that sends me to a surgeon to operate on, and then you do my rehab? Or what do you do after the injury is identified?
I mean, if you go in pro level, it'd be easy. You'd have a scan within 2 days. You know exactly what it is. And they probably, that clubs have contracts, like I think like the local clubs down there were contracts with like Nuffield and stuff. So they'll go into Bournemouth Hospital, get the scan straight away, top grade in. They'll know exactly within 2 days. And then club physios and the medical team will go, right, okay, can we treat this? Or do we need to go and see this specific specialist? And they'll go to London, they'll pay the prices they need to pay because they've got the money. Our level, it is honestly down to me to decide, right, do I send you to someone at the Nuffield down here where I've got contacts, but it's going to cost us 300 quid just to speak to them? Then I might, yeah, because if I'm invoicing the club and they go, I know you don't need surgery, great, but could we not spend that 300 quid? So I've got to be bang on it to make sure.
Do you feel a lot of pressure with that?
Yeah, and also like in clinic as well, if I'm doing that to someone who just joins running and I go, yeah, just go see them, 300 quid, and then it comes back, oh, I don't need surgery. So, and they're thinking, do you actually know what you're doing? Are you just sending me to that person so you don't have to make a decision? But then obviously if they come back and go, I need surgery, you feel like obviously awful, but
yeah,
well, at least it's beyond me at this point. But yeah, say they don't need surgery and stuff. That's the point where I go, right, okay, we know exactly we know the grade. So grade 2, say you go 8 to 12 weeks, roughly. Then it depends on how often you see them, how the rehab goes. Are you ticking off all the boxes? Are they still doing their other bits on the side? Are they sleeping well? Are they eating well?
What
drinking well, you know.
What are the most common injuries you see with footballers?
I mean, the hamstring strains will be probably the most popular. There's this sort of like feeling that ACLs are extremely popular, but they have been around for years. I just think social media and everything's just driving it, personally, because you look at the original R9, mate, he done his ACL twice. Now, if you asked and said, do you know that R9 did his ACL twice? You'd probably say no, because there's nothing said about it. But like now, only every ACL injury gets blown up into this massive thing.
Why do you think people do their ACL? Because I've been in the US for like the last 7 years, and a lot of players play on like 4G, like artificial grass. Also, a lot of women do their ACL because their knees are designed differently.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? I mean, I'm not saying there are more ACLs or less ACLs, but what is a common thing why a player would do his ACL? Is it because he's got the wrong boots? Is it because of his genetics? Is it because he falls over?
You can say pitches, but you still look at, in England, it's Premier League down to League 2, you have to have a grass pitch. But they're like hybrid now, so they're sewn in. So they normally do have a little bit of like artificial in it. But like I'm at Dorchester, we got artificial, so we train on 4G, we play on 4G. 75% of our games in the league is probably 4G, because half of them at home, 25%, 50% away from home, are probably going to be 3G. So 75% of our games are on 4G. And we've had, touchwood, only since I've been there, one ACL, which is still bad, but out of how many games, we're probably looking at pushing 60 odd games. We've had one ACL.
So you don't think it's the turf?
So I don't think so, but there are like there's certain boots. There's AG boots which you should wear on 3G, 4G, whatever you want to call it. It's still bolts, but they're like circular. They're designed.
But why should I wear those instead of normal blades?
So normal blade, obviously, like they're sort of like that. Sort of like thinner,
rectangle.
Yeah, like they basically just don't sit into the 4G.
Really?
So when you go to turn, that's normally how you do it. So the lad that we done it last year, he went into turn and lunge, but then if you look at top of my head, like the two ones, like there's hyperextension, which is when you sort of you would land on a single leg and your knee would sort of like come back and straighten, but overextend. And that's normally how you do an ACL, coming down from like a header or something. So Zlatan did his like that. I'm trying to think of like the big players that would have done them recently.
So how do I prevent these injuries? I can buy different boots. Can I do exercises at home to strengthen my knee? Like what should I do?
There's a case for obviously doing like what we call prehab. So some clubs professionally would do, before they go to train, go out for training in the morning, they'll do a prehab session. It's quite hard because you got 20 lads that you can't go, right, specifically yours is this, your plan's this. You normally just have a room and it'll be like, right, okay, let's do a couple of these exercises for everyone, a couple of these exercises for everyone. You just go around just like basically doing exercises, not to a high low, just get the body functioning before you go out and train.
Go on. No, carry on.
So you would do that, and then you could be, unless you had an ACL injury before, then it's quite hard, because you could go around the whole body and be like, right, I need to do these exercises for this muscle, this ligament to prevent injury. It would take you all day. So you need to try and like generalize it and be like, right, okay, fundamentally it's going to be the quad muscles for the ACL to protect it. And normally glute med, because it stabilizes when you come onto single legs, if you're landing down from a header. So if you train them exceptionally well, technically your risk of injury should reduce. But it's just, I always find that ligaments, tears like that are just, they come from, you could go up for a header and be like, had a little shoulder barge in midair, you come off single leg, you're all over the place and it snaps. Can you prevent that? Can you train to do that? It's quite a hard one to...
So I'm assuming at a Premier League club, obviously the players are full-time contracted. They spend a lot of time in the gym, recovery, all of that. But for you, who's playing at doing the physio at a non-league club, how involved are you with the team? Are you just on match days? Are you there at training? Like, how involved are you?
So normal principle for our level would be 2 nights a week. But your contact time is so short. We all work on the outside of it.
They get there 50 minutes before training. And
so I might get there 40 minutes before training starts. But lads won't get there. They'll be at meet time, obviously, before you get into the fines and everything. But meet time might be 20 minutes before. So if a lad turns up 20 minutes before...
And there's 10 of them.
Yeah. So we normally just do a generalised warm-up outside on the pitch. And then really, like, coaches want contact time because they've only got, say you're there, quite a lot of our lads, we live with an hour's drive easily, some more. So you don't want them too long because you're doing an hour and a half either side. That's 3 hours, 2 hour training. It's 5 hours of your day for a semi-pro footballer. It's a long time. So our training session is probably about an hour and a half, maybe 20 minutes of that's got to be getting fired up. So you're the actual, for the coaches, you probably only got an hour.
So how often do you talk to the coaches? Are you talking to the coaches every day? Hey, this player's texted me saying he's struggling. This player shouldn't play on a Saturday. Are you texting saying, hey, this player needs to do this? Like, how often are you talking to the coach?
Near enough every day.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, sometimes I might leave it and go, right, okay, we're going to train on Tuesday, we're going to train on Thursday. I'll give them an update before we train and be like, look, this has come from Saturday. If something not obvious, like someone might text me Sunday and go, oh, this really hurts today, but I can't remember exactly what I'd done. Obviously, the manager had never seen it on the Saturday game. Something obvious where he's like pulled his hamstring and had to come off. The manager might message me Sunday and be like, oh, do you know how he's getting on? Is he out for Tuesday? Is he out for next Saturday already? Like starting asking questions. And then the trouble at our level is like, all right, I've seen him Saturday do it. I can't really do a lot because it's fresh. So we're just icing it. But I won't see him till Tuesday.
What do the coaches want to know from a physio? Because I think that the physio has a very underrated role within the club, making sure everyone's healthy, obviously team selection, and making sure that you give accurate information. So for a player that is, I'm out of the squad, and doesn't really know because the physio told him not to play because he's injured, how involved would you say you are in team selection?
I mean, if he knows there's like, if we got, say we played last night, which we did, and we got a game Saturday. And there was 3 players out of the squad last night that had been injured for a couple of weeks. He might call me Thursday and be like, right, can any of them play Saturday? And you're making an on-the-spot decision, really, to be like, well, based on Tuesday, but it's still 5 days apart to Saturday. Is he realistically anything going to improve? So that's massive. Then you go, well, yeah, he can, but will he last 90 minutes? Is there a point? If you're going to put someone on the bench, realistically, you've got to tick them off to play. But then it's down to fitness, isn't it? How long they've been out for?
How important is data with what you're doing? Do the players have vests? Do you watch, do you know how far they run or the...
Yeah, we got all that, which then in training you use as well. So at least you can you say you got a lad that's coming back on a Thursday and it's his first session back and the manager really, really wants him to play Saturday. You could be like, right, okay, can look at his data post-training on a normal training session. Is he hitting the heights of what he's normally doing? Is his heart rate a lot higher because he's unfitter? Is he not hitting the sprint distances? Is he not hitting the high sprints, high distance running? If all that's low, you go, well, is he going to do what you wanted to do on Saturday?
So you've worked with semi-professional teams. Have you also, I know off camera we talked a little bit about Premier League players. So what types of players have you worked with in the game? For someone listening to this, it's like, he works with semi-professional teams as a physio. Does he work with professional players? What type of football player are you working with?
So I've worked with, being located in Bournemouth, I worked with a couple of the Bournemouth players privately. This might feel like a bit weird because people say it to me all the time and go, but they're full-time, surely got their own physios, which they do. But I had a lad, not last season, the season before, and he had a hamstring, so I played for Bournemouth against Liverpool. And he was like, right, I've had my scans and everything. The club literally said, oh, by the way, if you want more treatment, go and get it. And he was going to do it anyway with me, but he was like, sound. Like, he was getting treatment at the club, then he was like, got me around in the evening, like working on it, rehabbing it.
So what are the differences in injuries between a semi-pro player and a pro player? Because from the outside looking in, you might think Premier League players should get injured less because they have more resources, more facilities. They probably have more contact time with the physio. They probably eat better. They're full-time, so they just have to worry about football. But then you might also think, well, actually, they're training more. The game's probably faster, more intense.
Of course.
So what's the differences in injuries between a non-league player and a professional?
I think you've got to put it down to the intensity of the game when you go up. It's so... I think it's actually underappreciated how intense the Premier League is.
Why? Why is it so intense?
It's just the speed of the game now. Like, I've seen stats from Premier League players and it's madness. I've talked to a couple of my Bournemouth lads. I mean, like, we don't sit there and compare the stats, but be like, oh, because they're so interested in that, my level as well, going like, what type of distance your lads run? And you say it and they go, I'm nearly doubling your stats. And it's like, not in terms of like overall distance, but the sprint speed, the high distance running. So sprint speed is talking like, if you're working at 70 to 100% in terms of your fastest speed. So they're hitting over 1,500 per game in meters. It doesn't sound a lot, but you try and sprint for 1.5k, it's tough. And then to still move around and concentrate. And then they're still, in their high speed running, they're doing, nearly similar. So for 2 to 3k out of what they might be doing, 10.5k in a game, they're basically working at a very, very high level.
Do you think that, I know you're not a coach, but it's an interesting topic talking about like what makes Premier League players Premier League, and you talk obviously a lot about athletic ability and physicality. How important do you think athletic ability, physicality is to make it to the top?
I think massive. I think that's how the game's going now. Is still will be technical, but if you're an athlete and you can get up, you can go box to box, I think it's going to pull you apart from the rest.
When a player comes in to see you, the Premier League player and a Dorchester player, what are the differences in them physically?
So we actually did some testing in pre-season at Dorchester with an external people coming in that I know. And we used like the force plates where you like jump up. And basically they were like, look, these are the scores of what a Premier League player would do. We had 2 that were hitting around the average of a Premier League player of our whole squad, 2 players. And this is obviously like Premier League consistent. That's what their consistent average is through that whole squad. Where 2 players get near it. So the force platforms basically work out your hang time when you're coming up, power through your legs. So, I mean, we're not talking like build, like you're not some massive like weightlifter, but the athleticism is just ridiculous.
What does that mean, athleticism? We talk about it a lot, but what does it mean? I want to be athletic. What does that mean? So
I break it down into 3 things, which is power, strength, and speed. So to be powerful, you need to be strong and quick. To have speed, you need to have power and strength. To have strength, you need to have speed and power. It's basically like they all fit in, all 3 fit into one. And you need to have percentage of each bit.
How do I get stronger?
Stronger will be to specifically stronger. It's just compound movements, strength stuff in the gym. So your isometrics, isotonics.
What does that mean in simple terms? I want to get stronger. What do I need? When I go to the gym, what do I do?
Lift weight, basically. But if you lift
bicep curls, bench press.
Obviously, we're talking like lower limbs. So you say generally you would go, right, okay, let's do some trap bar deadlifts, squats, split squat, single leg, even just using like leg extension machines, basic stuff. Do a bit of that, you're 30% of the way there. But if you don't train, I'd say your power comes from plyometrics. So plyometrics is jumps. So
box jumps.
Yeah, so you're using your strength and power to jump up. And that's going to basically give you sort of like that acceleration in a way. You might get a ball, you just need to drive away from a player over 5 yards. Your speed is obviously then, you're training that in terms of outside on the pitch. But if you have the strength and the power, it's going to help you be stronger. Faster.
So if
you don't have those bits, you won't be as quick.
If I'm listening to this and I'm 21, 22, even if I'm 18, and I think I've not been doing this since I was 10, and maybe Premier League players have, at what point do you get too old for this and it's not relevant?
In terms of football, I mean, like, they say a peak for a goalkeeper obviously is later age, isn't it? And they're probably saying now, I think, like, peak for a player is like 27, 28. So I think it turns when you sort of get to like 30s and it'll be like, right, I'm actually doing these exercises to prevent me getting injured, like to the longevity of my career. I think when you're looking, around 26, 27 below, you want to be using the gym I want to be, more athletic overall. That's when you should be working as a plan, not to progress longer your career. You're probably like, I'm coming up to my peak now. I need to be in peak condition. And obviously still preventing injuries at the same time. You don't want to start putting too much load on in terms of strength and muscle, because then you've got to run around and shift it. And if you want to be powerful, that could be causing injury. So that's our job as well of like, are we doing enough? Are we now doing too much strength in the gym? If you put too much muscle mass on, that you're going to struggle. If you're playing centre mid and you've got to do 11K a game, you never see a bodybuilder run long distances, do you?
How important is nutrition?
In terms of injuries, massive. Really, really important in terms of getting the right. Your muscles, that's what your muscles feed off it, basically. Hydration, massively key. But yeah, if you're going to, also we talk about protein in terms of to get bigger and build strength, you need to hit, 200 grams of protein, say, a day. Your nutrition is advising you, I need 200 grams, I need to get that into me. You do the same as if your muscles needs repairing because of an injury, it still needs protein. So this is the bit I think players struggle the most when it's long-term injuries, and they've been told by, the surgeon, this is going to be a 9-month rehab till you play again. For that 9 months, you might think, it's 9 months till I play again. I don't really need to put the work in for 9 months. but you could have, say, straight after surgery and you need to get lots of blood flow to the area. If you're eating and hitting those protein levels, all right, it ain't going to knock 2 months off your recovery, but it might knock off a week, say. So small margins.
What does, when you say nutrition, how can I be specific with nutrition, right? Because if I tell you, Tom, I need your nutrition to be better, and you just think, okay, I'm just going to drink lots of water and I'm going to eat loads of fruit and loads of protein and I'm good. What specifically can I do? Let's say that I'm struggling with my nutrition and I'm asking you for help with my nutrition. Specifically, what do I need to eat? What do I need to put in my body to get my nutrition better as a footballer?
You could go down 2 ways of, right, are you obviously injured or are you playing?
Let's say I'm playing.
So then you've got to break it down into going, right, what times do you train, what days do you train in terms of pitch work? Say at our level, semi-professionals, and we're going Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So Fridays, we're looking at obviously preparing for Saturday, but also recovering from Thursday night. So we're looking at high protein to recover from Thursday, but then we're also looking at carb loading for Saturday. In terms of like injuries, we're not looking at, because we say our output's obviously lower because we're immobilized, we're recovering from an injury, we can't run. We might be able to do a bit of the bike, say, for our cardio, but we don't need that high amount of sort of carbohydrates to fuel. So that's when it'll be like, right, okay, it's more of a protein and maybe fat-based diet.
So when you tell me that I need to eat carbs, I need to eat protein and fats, what types of food should I eat? What's some example meals you can give me?
So protein would be generally like your meats. Obviously, then we got, if you're vegan or something, we got to be a bit more creative with it. But say you'd be like getting your chicken in, steaks, unbelievable. Your fish, anything like that's a great source of protein. Go on to your carbs, you're looking at your rice. Rice is typically what's going to be great for a player, easy to make. Eggs is a great one for protein. Miss that out. That's a lot of our lads at our level will have eggs in the morning before a game. Also, the timing of it before a game is so hard.
Why? What's the peak? Let's say I have a game, 3:00 kickoff on a Saturday. What should I be eating and at what time?
Your last meal should probably be about between 11 and 12. So about 3.5 hours before you kick off. So that would be like your pastas or your rice with a bit of protein in it. So you might have chicken and rice or chicken pasta, something like that. In the morning, that's where you'd be looking at probably your eggs, bagels. So they've still got your carbs in it. You wouldn't need to worry about sort of like your fats at that stage.
So it's an interesting topic about fats because I think fats have a pretty bad rep, obviously. What is a good fat?
Good fat in terms of food, like avocado. I don't know where it really comes from because I remember when I was younger and like you go to a shop and it would say like mincemeat. It's got 5%, 10%, 15, 20. And you're thinking like,
surely I'd get the 5%.
Yeah, which is obviously more expensive in the shop. And why would I want 20% fat like in my body? Because everyone's thinking, oh my God, fat causes, cardiac problems when you're later on in life if you're eating more and more and more of it throughout. And it's like, what? Surely I'd go for 5%. Why is there 0%? Where's the 0% at? Because you look at it as like Greek yogurt, 0% fat in it, or 5% fat, 10% fat again. So surely I'd have the lowest one possible. But some fats are so important. And I mean, an avocado, you can't choose the fat level.
Why would I choose a 20% fat mincemeat?
I wouldn't, but...
but why is it offered? Just because there's a lot of fat in it? I don't know the answer. I'm curious. Like, are you saying that those fats are good for you?
That type of fat, no.
Okay. What? So again, what is a good fat?
So
nuts is not.
Nuts it's got a little bit in it, yeah. Good little snack for like protein as well. Nuts. So you're looking at like Greek yogurt's good healthy fat. Avocados, nuts, eggs has got a little bit in it. But even so, out of like your actual daily source, you don't need a high percentage of fat. But just because say you need 10%, say we're going, all right, okay, we want 10% fat in your diet. You don't go, right, I'm going to have 10% of mincemeat fat. So that's not good fat. But if we can get you having avocado on toast, where it's good, healthy fats, because they still provide you energy.
And what about sugar?
So you got your natural sugars, which come from fruit, and then you got your bad sugar, which comes from
chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate, sweets. But if you went in a changing room before a game and got it laid out on the table, you're looking at like the isotonic drinks, so like Lucozade,
electrolytes.
Yeah, sugar still in it. Your energy gels, sugar basically. Oranges and then bananas, sugar. Normally it's a load of sweets, Jaffa cakes or something. It's all sugar, but that's because it's short-term release. Also, you don't have a lot of it. So like before the game, they might, as they come back in before kickoff, they might be hitting a gel in, a little handful of sugary sweets just to give you that little bit.
Why is that important?
So that gives you that little, it's a spike of like energy, which it gives you.
Why wouldn't I just have a shot of espresso like caffeine? What's the difference between like caffeine energy and sugar energy?
It's actually, weirdly enough, the science backs it up that caffeine is no good for sport and performance at that short notice. It makes zero benefit to you at all. So you might see, I've still got lads that now, they come in with like a Monster or a Red Bull. And there's that story that Jamie Vardy drinks
2 before kickoff.
Yeah. It scientifically makes no difference to not having one at all.
Right. But so, just because people think...
I don't know, is it placebo? Have they seen it from Jamie Vardy and go, well, he broke the record for consecutive goals in the Premier League. Must be all right. If it's good for him, it must be all right for me. But then like he says he don't have any... I don't think he had breakfast or anything. I don't think he actually ate, did he?
No, I think he's just an anomaly.
Yeah, and it's like... But he gets away with it. Like, I mean, look at his injury record. He was barely injured.
Yeah.
And scored goals.
What advice do you have for a player that is injured a lot? How do I stop getting injured? Because there's a lot of players that 1 week it's the ankle. I'm not talking about like same injury, because if it's the same injury, then...
It's an issue probably going to be on
that bit. But if it's, my hamstring hurts this week, then it's my ankle, then it's my back, then it's...
I mean... Then I think you've got to look at your whole chain and biomechanics, which is a different story in terms of biomechanics is like how
genetics,
you move. Yeah. You could look at genetics as well and Bournemouth, as it obviously come from, is there anything in the family? But most of the time, your biomechanics, you're looking at, right, okay, how does this player move functionally? Whether that's gym, running, obviously sprinting, lift, anything that they do that replicates football movement, what is putting you at risk of injury? Because you could obviously go down the other bit of going, right, okay, you could have an injury and go, oh, we just got to make your calf stronger. Now we've got to make your hamstring stronger. So you're getting injured because you're weak. That's quite a general term of like probably what you would say. But if it's repetition of reoccurrence through the whole body, can't just be that every single muscle's weak. It's got to be some sort of biomechanic issue going through the body that's putting load through muscles that just don't need to be done. So you're running in an awkward way, basically.
How do you think like mentality and like being mentally weak affects injuries too? Because I think I listen to a lot of podcasts of old Premier League players, and some of them will say, I never played at 100%. I always played at 80%, 90%, even 70% because I had to play. My knee hurt, but I just got through it. And there's other players that if they're feeling a little bit and they just don't want to play because they're struggling with this game and they don't want the responsibility. How big do you think mentality plays in like knowing if you're injured or not?
Big time. I think it, like we've, at Semi-Pro, we've had big games where say it's a playoff or it's a cup final or, it's the last couple of league games of the season, you're pushing for the title. That's when you'll notice, players won't even complain to you about an injury that they're hiding. They won't notice it. But come middle of the season, when there's not your mid-table, there's not really a lot riding on it, or be like, well, actually, I want to get back for that portion of the end of the season when we could be in the title race. We could be in the playoffs. It could be a cup final at Melmedy or whatever. That's when players will be like, right, I've got this. I'm not playing these games now. I'm treating myself.
Can you tell?
Yeah, they might not say it to the manager, but they'll say it to me. And then is it up to me to go to the manager and go, like, this lad's not playing?
How do you deal with that as a physio? Like, because you obviously have a relationship with the coach and you feel a responsibility, but you're also probably quite pally with the boys.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that?
Got to take it case by case and be like, well, I've had injuries where players like, I'm not fit, and then because we're semi-pro, and you go on the outside, like, because you all know each other. Oh, he's out playing
Sunday league or
6-a-side or something. And you're like, right, but you can't play for a contracted that you're getting paid for, but you can go play 6-a-side with your mates, which is actually putting you at risk of injury as well.
Do you get annoyed by that?
Yes, but then is it up to me to grass him in? Because then if I grass him and find out and go to the manager and he, however he reacts to it, obviously it comes back on me. And then I'm losing trust from players, which then, do they just hide injuries? Is it affecting, are they going to play for injuries which might lead to a bigger injury?
So what do you do? Or it depends?
Literally depends. I suppose it probably depends on who it is as well. If I've got a really good relationship with them, I'm actually just speak to them personally, like, look, come on, this.
Yeah, don't
do you actually throw me a little bit under the bus.
Yeah.
Because you're making your injury last longer.
Yeah.
Because also I get judged on
how many players are healthy.
Because that should contribute to some side success technically.
Yeah.
If you got more injuries, you look at the end of the year and a manager will go, yeah, but we had this amount of injuries this year. That's why we finished 12th rather than pushing for top 4. Or a side wins it. Like, I think Liverpool have exceptional ratio for players playing to not playing from last season. You see, they won the league, and obviously it does help if you got all your best players are fit.
How important is sleep?
Big in terms of, well, you can look at it both ways. Big in terms of recovery and big in terms of preparation as well. Sleep is one of your highest. You could talk about rehab, physio and treatment, soft tissue, whatever, in terms of specifically getting that injury right and repaired. But if you're not getting sleep, it's just going to slow down your recovery. Sleep is as important, if not more important, than the actual sort of physio side of it, I'd say. And I think especially with a long-term injury, you can easily get distracted and be like, well, I can have my late nights. I can go out for a few beers on a Friday night now. I can go see my friends. And that might, instead of being at home on a Friday night, going to sleep at 10, 11, you're out till 2 o'clock drinking, which is, we haven't got started on alcohol.
I was going to tell you, yeah.
And you see a lot of players will be like, and then obviously their nutrition goes off on that. So everything that was going so well for you in feeding your body's going, what on earth are you feeding me with? And I've got an injury. How do you expect me to deal with this?
I want to talk to you about alcohol, because for the audience that's listening to this, that is kind of trying to chase a pro contract, trying to chase like a university scholarship. For example, if I put myself, when I was 18, I was out every weekend, sometimes even Friday and Saturday when I was like 17, 18. And then I went to university every weekend. Like, it's a big university culture. Obviously, you drink a lot. And I've talked about it a lot, that I think that was kind of one of the reasons why I didn't really reach my full potential in my career, because it was alcohol. I still had a good career. I played well, but I was not really that athletic. I wasn't like fit and shredded, probably due to a lot of alcohol and diet. And I struggle to give advice to players about alcohol, because I want to be saying that you should drink no alcohol, but then it's like, but at the same time, they're not Premier League footballers. They're also maybe at university, maybe they're semi-professional, and they should also enjoy like the social aspect of football. And if I put myself when I was 18 and someone told me not to drink, I would say, fuck off. Like, I want to go out with my friends and have fun.
Yeah.
So from a physio's perspective, talking to a player who is telling you, Tom, I really want to get better at football. I really want to get better, but also on a Saturday night, I want to go out with my mates after a game and go out till 2, 3 in the morning and drink a load of beers. What are you telling me? Like, what's alcohol doing to me?
After a game, slows down your recovery massively. So what really annoyed me, at another club, we had actually quite a young group, just a couple of years ago, and there'd be about a handful of players, maybe 3 or 4 of them, every Saturday would go out because they feel like, say we won, or I think it would be a celebration, or it'd be like, well, I'm young enough to recover from it. And we'd be playing on a Tuesday, and I think your body's now you're trying to go through a recovery stage from Saturday to Tuesday anyway. You're slowing that down. You've only got Sunday, Monday to actually get over that. And you've added alcohol into your system. And I think you're being paid to represent and play, and you can't even stay off the beer on a Saturday.
So when you say it slows my recovery down, what's alcohol doing to me in my recovery process?
So normally, like you're say after a game, obviously, the basic stuff is like the lactic acid builds up and you're feeling heavy-legged. You wake up Sunday and you're stiff. So players might on the other side be like, I think there was Champions League last week. Haaland put a video up at midnight in an ice bath. And he's like, do I want to be in here? No. Do I feel better and is it going to benefit me? Massively. Obviously, then he's gone, like they're not going to be until training later on, so he still gets his sleep after. But on the flip side of that, imagine that, him going out for a few beers and then playing, I think, was that Tuesday or Wednesday? No. Might have been Thursday, I think they played. And then they went and played, obviously, Arsenal at the weekend on Sunday. So it's the same contact. Thursday to Sunday is going to be a Saturday to Tuesday. So imagine Haaland going out that night and starting having a few beers instead of doing his ice baths and everything, and then in on Friday for recovery, because they're not going to train. They're not going to do recovery. Saturday, it's...
But what is alcohol doing for me? Like, I might be like, yeah, I went out and had a couple of beers, but it's fine. I got 8 hours of sleep. I woke up late.
So how your body then flushes out like waste product and lactic acid is through like your lymph nodes. Your body will automatically basically do it. That's why then like, you wake up 2 days later and be like, I can actually move now. Or you say you've even gone for like a 10K run and you wake up the next morning, you're like, a little bit stuffed. Day after that, you're suddenly better and you can go for another run again or play a football game. So your body automatically will go through that system of basically flushing everything that you've built up waste product wise and get it rid of your body. That's how it comes out through sweat, go to the toilet. That's why you'll see like you need to rehydrate as well. So if you're going to drink alcohol, it slows down that process of getting rid of your waste product out of your body, because your body's now getting in more bad substances that it now needs to focus on.
So how if I am going out, is all alcohol the same? Wine, liquor, beer?
In terms of,
is there a better version of alcohol or a worse version of alcohol?
Not really. Obviously, you can look at the bottles and it says percentage or everything. And some ciders have got 4%, and then you go look at the beer that's got 6%, and wine's got 12%. Overall, it's going to be on the quantity that you drink, because they got on the amount of units that you'll be putting into your body. The more you're going to do, is more it's going to slow down your recovery. But yeah, in the grand schemes of things, you might not feel it in your body, as in like you wake up the next game and you're still going to be stiff from playing a game on Saturday, and then Monday you're still going to be a bit better. So you probably won't notice it as in that, but your actual body's way of trying to perform, and in terms of like energy levels, this is where fatigue coming through muscles, cramps, because alcohol dehydrates you. That's why, sort of might go to bed and you're sort of like sweating in the night, because your body's trying to get it out of you as well. That's his way of like trying to get alcohol out. So normally after a game, you'd be like, drink plenty of water. You might get a protein shake.
But do you still say that at the semi-pro levels? Because of course at the Premier League level, that should be the narrative because they're Premier League footballers. But like the narrative at the semi-pro level, do a lot of the players think, well, I'm not a pro. I'm trying to have a good time.
Yeah, I think if you come from...
I guess it depends what your goal is as a footballer.
If you come out of an academy and say you've been at academy until you're 19 and you didn't get offered your first sort of pro contract or anything, or you didn't get your next one after that and you've been released, and you come down to non-league to get some game time, play men's football for the first time, and work your way back up the ladder, they're the lads that you'd be like, they would not touch alcohol because they've basically done it their whole youth anyway.
They're used to that.
They've not gone to parties when they're 16. They've not been surrounded by drink. I've seen a couple of lads now that I've worked with for a couple of years, and when I first met them, clean as hell, and now it'd be like, oh yeah, I don't actually mind going out for a few beers
because they missed that.
Yeah, they sort of like realised probably like it's not going to happen now. But I'm more than comfortable playing non-league because they're still earning money and they got a side job that put both of them together, probably earning more than what they were earning with a pro.
In terms of alcohol, I went sober about this time last year, and for me it was obviously physically, but it was more mentally too, like clarity. I mean, I'm not sure if you drink or how often you drink, but for me, when I would go out a lot, you obviously get drunk, and it's like the next day I'm like, what did I say, or who did I piss off? It's like really anxious, and then kind of lose focus. And also for our agency, like the weekend is arguably the most important time that I have to kind of connect with players and parents and coaches, because during the week they're busy and the weekend is when they have more free time. So I realized that like the weekend was kind of my time that I needed to have an advantage over the rest of the people around me, and the mental clarity from like waking up early, have a coffee, do a little bit of work, check your email, check your phone, and just like be in a fresh, clear headspace and kind of know your goals and know your focus, rather than, I feel horrible today, I'm going to sleep in, I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to eat some chocolate or get some takeaway, So how important is also like the mental, oh, here we are. Okay, no worries. But yeah, I think the alcohol is a big thing.
Massive.
I didn't really, I'm sure you go out a lot, or not really, or?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Mate, I've played. I've gone out on Saturday night and played the next day.
Yeah.
But played a blinder.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And then, mate, we had one a couple of years back at Poole, New Year's, and he thought he hadn't played for a while. He was like, I'm not going to be playing. Started. New Year's Day.
Yeah, really? Yeah. So, and also like the mental side of alcohol too, I think, especially for players, if you're chasing like a professional contract, chasing at playing at a higher level, I think the mental side of the game is so important too. I mean, just from a physio aspect, like I want to touch again on the mental side. Like, how important is being mentally kind of fit, strong in your injury process?
Yeah, massive. If we got like a long-term injury, if it's a week or 2 weeks, it's fine, because you'd be like, well, I'll be playing in 2 weeks. So you sort of like, you should be at a stage where you're still like, should be able to do gym stuff, or at least some sort of like cardio and running. Say like we've got a lad at the minute, that when he got injured, he said to me, he's like, Matt, I can still like sprint, move. I just can't like actually can't kick a ball because it hurts. So I'm like, well, you can still hit targets of your fitness by doing everything pitch-based. You just can't. We need to get everything stronger so you can kick a ball. It's just a ligament strain. Say you've got like a really long-term injury, and you'd be like, I'll try and break it down to them and be like, right, okay, you are 6 months away from playing again, but in the first couple of weeks, we need to hit this. That leads us into this bit. If you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do this. And it's every single step. So then it gets them focused, be like, right, I have to do this by this date near enough to be able to move on to the next one. It's not like, oh, suddenly in 6 months' time, I'm going to wake up and go and kick a ball and be able to run around pitch again. It won't just automatically happen.
Are there any simple routines or habits that any footballer can do to prevent injuries?
It's weird because I've seen players that have never ever stepped in the gym but play every game. Whether it's whether they just still have pain and mentally go through it, or to a certain extent anyway. I've got players that do everything that you would tell them to do, or they've learned through other people, and they're doing the nutrition, they're doing the sleep, they're doing the rehab, prehab, they're in the gym, everything you tell them, and they still get injured a lot. So I wouldn't say there's a criteria, but there's definitely like testing that you can do and being like, right, okay, is everything symmetrical in terms of my muscle output. Is my right leg as strong as my left leg? Because if it's not, most likely you're going to get injured on the weaker leg. You're at higher risk. So I say what we're trying to do is making sure that, are we reducing the risk of injury by facts, by testing? That's why clubs do all their pre-season testing. It's not for show and going, oh, who's the fittest? It's actually so we got scores and going, right, we sit down and work through it and go, actually, he's at really, really high risk of injury at the minute in pre-season. We need to get him in the gym, maybe take him outside of doing a lot of load and get him basically like bulletproof his body. Mm-hmm. It's not to punish players or anything like that, pre-season testing. It's to get data. Obviously, Premier League clubs have got the most amount, but we used one in pre-season. They came in and gave us a report, and it was like, this is what they're good at, this is not what they're good at, this is what we would recommend to do. And every single player had a recommendation of what to do and about symmetry and go, to be fair, you don't need to be like 50-50 exactly, but if you can be like, 52, 53 to 47, 48, it's going to reduce your risk of injury. But if you're 60% stronger on your right leg compared to 40% on your left, there's a high chance you're most likely going to get injured.
Let's say that I've done my ACL and I have a 9-month rehab process. Apart from you giving me exercises to do, how do you mentally motivate me to stay positive?
I just break it down to that like little checklist again. Be like, right, okay, month 1, this is what it will be like, because I've worked with them so many ACL injuries. Be like, I've not had one myself, but be like, this is what it's like. This is the stages you'll get to. So they'd be like, when they go, yeah, but I can't bend my knee fully and I'm 1 month post-surgery. Like, it's not normal to bend your knee at that point. So you're absolutely fine how you are. It's a lot of like reassurances. I said to them, you'll have so many ups through your rehab where you feel amazing, you feel like you could push it even further. And you have so many downs where you'd be like, I'm getting nowhere near, I can't see the end of sight here. And it's perfectly fine. So I try and like warn them at the start and be like, it ain't going to be smooth. Every day is not going to be a progress. There'll be some times where you go, oh, I've done a couple of sessions, my knee's really, really hurting. And we might just need to deload the program a little bit. But that's part of the journey, unfortunately.
What do you see the differences in kind of mentality and discipline between youth players going through an injury and a men's player going through an injury?
If you're talking from like professional, someone being in the Premier League, it's tough because I don't know. I've worked with some players, and you think before you even met them, you think from what it looks like on the TV, they probably don't actually really care about playing. If you go and meet them, they're like everything's perfect in their life. Is in what they try and do to make it work around football. They love football, live and breathe it, and you think your attitude on TV that shows me different when I watch a game or watching it live. You don't work as hard or anything, but I mean, the lads that I work with, if they get injured, they're so annoyed. They're not nice people to be around when they're injured.
Why? Because it's
their life.
Yeah.
If you take away that sole bit of training and playing games, imagine what it's like playing in front of 40,000 people, the adrenaline rush on a Saturday. Coming back on a Saturday night and you've won away at, Man United or something like that. Imagine how amazing that would feel. Take that away from them for 9 months there's obviously ups and downs because you lose some games as well. But that feeling of, play Premier League football, like probably can't be untouched. So they do get, they're awful to be around.
Really?
I know one lad who, he's not at Bournemouth anymore, but he's had like ACL injuries and he's got back home and smashed the house up.
Yeah.
Because he's had the news of it's 9 months out, but you're probably chasing another dream. He wanted to play for England, did play for England, but he's probably at that time thinking, I know we're going to play for England now. Yeah. Whereas then you can relate that to a youngster and go, well, my dream is to get a pro contract at this club. You might have a scholar, and then it's like, I'm out for 6 months to a year now. I'm never ever going to get that. never going to get that pro deal. They're not going to chance me after they've just done that injury. So, trying to keep that mentally that's probably the hardest thing when you get a long-term injury, and keeping them like focused on that, on that goal. Because they probably at the time of those think like, oh, stuff the goal. Like, what's the point now? 9 months.
What's your biggest piece of advice to a footballer who is wanting to always be available on how can you best prepare yourself to never get injured?
Train as if how you're going to play. Can we then break it down into position specific? Centre mid, right back, striker, winger, whatever sort of position you play is going to be. The game is changing, but back in the day you'd have fast direct wingers, wouldn't you? Now it's sort of like inverted, but like a fullback's massive, isn't it? The fullback has to go up and down, up and down. Probably one of the fittest players on the pitch in terms of like anaerobic endurance. So if I've got a fullback and I go, oh, we're creating a plan for you because you never want to get injured, and we're just doing and we're not focusing on his type of how he plays, and we're just going, right, you're just a generic footballer, then it's probably not really going to help. So we go, right, okay, you're a fullback, so we need to be working in terms of fitness, your endurance, in terms of anaerobic, but you need to be able to overlap your winger and be able to sprint at the right time. So if you're doing X amount of sprints per game, we need to train you to do that, not just do it actually physically like sprinting, but we know to, like I said, about being powerful strength. So we need to complement your game in the gym as well. So, or you could have obviously like twisting and turning. Like if you're just going to go and train, which is great for, being able to be a technically very, very good player. But if you're not training in the gym to be able to move how you should be moving on the pitch, you're going to leave bits behind in terms of performance, but also if you're asking your body to do something on a Saturday that you don't do in the week, you're going to be increased chance of injury because your body's just like, you never asked me to do this. Whether that's a big injury or there's lots of stuff like an overuse injury where players will obviously the games are just going up and up and up, especially in the Premier League. Like it's money, isn't it? Not so much lower down in leagues, we sort of stay the same. But if they're asking us to go and do a Club World Cup after a 38-game league with FA Cup, Champions League, Carabao Cup, and they go deep in like a Man City that's going to get to most likely the final every single competition, and they play, I think, is it Foden, was it him that they said that played nearly on 70 games in the last 12 months? So if eventually your body would get used to it, say. But if you're training and at that time you've gone from 50 games to 70 games, your body's in for a shock. So you need to pre-plan and be like, this is our schedule. So we need to either deload you or sort of like slowly overload. So in some cases of injury, we call progressive overload of going, right, we need to increase your training, but slowly over a period of time. So your body gets used to doing it rather than jumping from 0 to 100. And that's where a lot of injuries do come from. Obviously, you can talk about Saturday, Tuesdays. If you've got a whole month of Saturday, Tuesdays, you're going to be at high risk of injury if your body's not prepared for that.
Interesting.
So it's I say the advice is for basically training how you're going to be playing and then looking at your schedule and going, right, I mean, you don't want to overload yourself and go, right, I've got a really intense schedule come out. Let's blast my body so it's ready to play all these games, because you could be at risk of injury through fatigue, overworking, or you could have overuse injuries because you've not done it right. But yeah, it's like me, if I wanted to go and start running and I just go, right, I'm just going to run 10K without doing anything, I'm probably going to get a little injury. Not necessarily like a big injury.
You have to load it, yeah.
But my body's gone from not doing anything to start running 10K. It's like, whoa, what's going on? Well, one off, you put it right. But if you want to do that consistently, your body needs to prepare for it. So what can you do in the gym? But what can you do in terms of planning your sessions that you slowly increase it? I think like running, well, it's obviously different football, but running, they say like you can increase like weekly by 10%.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 5 mile run, you go up to 5.5 mile run the next week.
Yeah.
So you go, I've done 5 miles, my body feels right, let's jump to 8.
I think it's interesting to make sure you learn that point. And like, I think a lot of clubs in pre-season, like they kill them. And it's interesting now to know that that's kind of for data and to make sure that you have everything correctly. So
yeah, my teams, because I obviously get massively involved with the planning the pre-season, especially that first bit where it's like
fitness.
Yeah, and I used to, when I was playing, it'd be like you go to your first one back and you would dread it because you'd be like, it's going to be hell. It's just going to be pure running. Because how's one session going to make you fit? It's not, realistically. Over a course of a few weeks, obviously.
Yeah, but the one session.
But like, how our pre-seasons are what, 6 weeks long? You don't play 6 weeks of matches. You might play 4 weeks of matches, 3 weeks of matches. So you've got a 2 week or 3 week period where it's just training. You ain't going to make someone fit in 3 weeks. So if they've done nothing in the off season, then obviously their own fault, but they might not be guided. That you just think, oh, it's off season from May till June. I'm just going to do absolutely nothing because I've had a really tough season. I'm going to go on holidays. This is where I can eat whatever I want. This is where I can drink. This is where I can party. This is where I don't need to do exercise. I don't need to hit the gym. And you go, oh, pre-season started now, so that's why I put the work in. You're playing catch up, and that's obviously a high increase of injury risk as well. Anyway, if we get onto that, but we normally do our first session as like testing, and so it's not actually that tough. It's a bit boring, but then we try and like make it a bit more fun at the end, games and stuff. Just get the ball back on their feet. Like that's what they're doing at the end of the day. So do your hard work with your testing, get your data, make it fun for them in the end. Job done. Next session, we up it a little bit. But I think like it's so hard to. I spoke to lads in the summer after we lost in the playoffs, and I said gave them a couple of days to process everything. Still me, like, I'm still involved in it, process everything. And they go like, lads, roughly we're going to be back on this date, which is in 8 or 10 weeks we normally get off. Don't leave it 10 weeks till you start running again. Give your body maybe 4 weeks, do nothing. Let the inflammation of your whole season body deal with it. Then start ramping up. Let's start hitting a little bit of gym. We're not running, but we're just getting some strength work in the gym. If you had an injury last year, let's talk about it and get it right for this year. If you haven't, let's just get the whole body start to using load again. But we're not talking like load where it's impact and jumps and running. That slowly comes in. So we do like a bit of weights, then we do some plyometrics, then we might do a little bit of continuous running just to get the body moving again. Then like the last 2 weeks we're going, right, we need to prepare for training.
Pre-season, yeah.
So we need the sprints, we need being able to like stop quickly, we need to turn, we need to slow down, we need to jump, we need to speed up. So we need to train, because over the first session you get back and you got someone who just wants to blast them, they will get injured because they haven't done it for 8 weeks.
Interesting.
So I feel like you've hopefully done enough in the off season that you don't need to blast them. So you can actually be quite
with the ball, nice
to them. And I mean, there's so many things, like I've seen it in semi-pro where you win a game on a Tuesday night or a Saturday, and he goes, oh, you know what, actually have Tuesday night off. You deserve it. You put on really good performance. You've worked hard. Reward yourself. Still getting paid. Reward yourself with a Tuesday night off. And you go, right, okay, Tuesday night off. Should they still be doing something, or is it a night off where they do whatever they want? And then you could say the same on a Thursday. Be like, right, okay, you're in on a Thursday, but you won on Tuesday night. You go, I have the night off. Have the night off, lads.
Is that good or bad?
This is where I think psychologically, like it comes in and you go, the lads are buzzing. Oh my gosh, yes, I haven't got to come training. And then they come into Saturday and their performance levels are still so high. Whereas you could get someone who's a team that's won or lost on that Tuesday. They come in on the Thursday to doing everything tactically to get ready for Saturday. Them two teams play each other, and the team that didn't train is going to win, like might win. And the team that did train is scratching their head going, yeah, but they didn't train on Tuesday. How have they beaten us? But you've kept that team happy.
It's the mental aspect.
Like,
interesting.
It's at Dorchester we so many of our lads travel long distance, and we probably get a fair bit of like nights off, but then it's down to me to try and keep them fit and do something. So I set them plans mainly on a Tuesday and be like, right, okay, Tuesday night, look, you're not in. You played Saturday. You've had enough to recover. So we like, what do I need? Tuesday, our session should be the highest. That should be our hardest session of the week, Tuesday, in terms of like sprints, output. So, right, okay, can we replicate that in a gym session or a pitch session? So I give them the option. Because some players are working till 5 and they haven't got a chance, because it's dark in winter, they haven't got a chance to get to pitch. So, right, okay, I can go to the gym instead, so you do it on the treadmill. Or some players have got the day off, or they're so focused on getting back in the pro game that they literally just do football.
Interesting.
So they can go down to the park at 1 o'clock in the middle of the day and do whatever you set them. So you give them like whatever you need to do. And it's just like, right, okay, can I trust you to actually not record the whole session? I don't want to watch them running, but can you prove to me your session? If everyone's got watches now these days, or some sort of device that they can track their workout. But okay, do it and send it to me.
Interesting.
To make sure that you're still doing it. And we did it last year, man. We finished 5th, and we went on 19 or 20 games unbeaten in our season. I think we had 19 Tuesdays off training.
Amazing. It's interesting to know the mental and the psychology.
Yeah, so then it's like lads are buzzing. So like, if we win, not if we win, that's your reward. We actually went on 2 games after that 20-game run. We lost, and we lost again, and we played on a Tuesday night. I think we trained on the Thursday. We always train because it's the pre-one before the Saturday. We lost Tuesday night away in London, came in on the Thursday, lost at home against the team that we should have beat. So then we had a 3 week, so would have been Tuesday, Thursday. He goes, I'm not even going to drag you in on Tuesday because I don't want to see it as a punishment for coming in. Then we went and I think we went on a mad run again and finishing the playoffs. And it's like, could have backfired. But I think there was a team
you have to trust your team.
Was it just after COVID maybe? 2021, somewhere around there. They didn't train all year, not one session during the season. They won the league.
Really? Why? Just because?
I suppose if you've got a group that respects the manager so much and will work hard for you.
Yeah.
I don't know their bits about like, did they get set work during the week? How did they sort of keep players injury free and fitness levels? But yeah, they didn't train all season and won the league.
Amazing. And
then you would have another team that would train twice a week, doing everything by the book, and would finish 8th.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I think at the top level it's a bit harder. I think those finer details are
definitely.
But I think at our level, like, there's a lot of good teams where I think Premier League is sort of notoriously edgy top 4, wasn't it? And as always, they're always going to break away.
Tom, I wanna finish with a quick fire round. 5 quick fire questions. I think you'll like these ones. Most common football injury that you see?
Ankle ligament. So like an ankle. Look, you've rolled your ankle in a game, or normally come from. I've done mine 4 times. So
one piece of advice every player should follow to avoid injury.
What we touched on about 10, 15 minutes ago, train how you play specifically to your position. And doing enough. What I call rehab is recovering. Prehab is sort of pre-emphasizing, sort of making sure my body's ready.
Favorite rehab exercise or drill?
I love working with short term. I love working with hamstring strains. So I feel like getting the explosiveness back in the hamstring muscle. Challenging one. I do love Nordics. Don't know if you've seen it when you sort of like try and fall.
Sergio Ramos.
Really. Yeah. I actually saw a Loftus Cheek one the other day. So it was all over TikTok, and he sort of comes down, he literally hovers and then makes himself come back up.
Mad. I tried to do that. It's so
but
tough.
like even he's had his fair share of injuries, and he's able to do that. It's mental.
biggest myth about ACL injuries?
I think what we touched on at the start, that it's just seems to be like everyone does it at the minute. But it's been around, like Roy Keane's done it. Again, it's about R9, he's done it twice. I think if you said, like, did anyone in the 90s do their ACLs, and everyone probably said, oh yeah, maybe like 2%. But at the minute, it seems like everyone's doing it. I just think like it's such a big thing these days that everyone's like, I don't know, the social media just wants to like pick up on bad stuff.
In 5 words, last question. In 5 words, what's your message to aspiring sports therapists?
Wouldn't say it like 5 words. I'd say it in a sentence, just make as much networking as possible with people, because that's how you'll get far. You know everything, do everything right, but if you don't know people, you won't get anywhere.
Amazing. Really good advice. Guys, that was a really interesting episode for myself. I learned a lot, Tom, so thank you. I hope that players listening to this can kind of understand now from a physio aspect, like what you should be doing, what's important. And we'll tag Tom's Instagram. So if you learned something, if you've got a question, or if there was just a topic that you really appreciated as insight, send him a message, say thank you. But Tom, that was amazing.
Also, send me. I'm open to, if someone's got a bit of they need advice.
Perfect.
I'm always open to helping.
Perfect. We'll tag his Instagram. But yeah, Tom, thank you so much. That was an amazing
perfect.
episode.
Thanks for having me on.